Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister warns lawlessness won't be tolerated after violent protests on a major highway. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Friday, November 24. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley on Friday strongly condemned the actions of people who blocked a highway leading into the nation's capital and allegedly attacked motorists on Thursday. Some residents of the community of Beetham burned debris on the Beetham Highway and threw missiles at cars stuck in traffic. Now, some drivers had posted on social media that they feared for their lives because of the violence. Hundreds of motorists were stranded as some residents also engaged in criminal activity, including armed robbery. Acting Commissioner of Police Stephen Williams had said the protest was an act of retaliation after lawmen carried out a raid in the community and arrested 2 men, although residents insisted they were demonstrating for improved infrastructure. Now, the country's top cop assured citizens the police had the matter under control. First, we get more on this Thursday's protest in the CNews report.
Acting Commissioner of Police Stephen Williams said the level of lawlessness displayed in Beetham on Thursday will not be allowed and explained what could have led to it.
The police service carried out a major raid in the Beetham area. Several persons would have been arrested in the Beetham, including 2 persons of major influence within that broad community, and there has been reaction by members of the community in carrying out some lawless acts.
The acting top cop said as a result of the protest, police will remain on the Beetham Highway, the bus route and the Eastern Main Road to ensure there is a level of safety for commuters. And in case the residents have plans to continue their action, Commissioner Williams said the police will remain out in their numbers.
So I want to give the public the assurance that they can continue to traverse the route from Port of Spain into Port of Spain, understanding that there will be clear presence of the police. But the society must not be run on the basis of having police at a location for safety. That's not how our country is run.
He said he thought the community of Beetham was making progress with its image, but he was proven wrong.
Even from an imaging perspective, Beetham had started to improve its image within the realm of the area of Port of Spain. So they have set themselves back by the conduct of a few.
Commuters whose vehicles are damaged while driving in the area due to the protesting residents are encouraged to drive to the nearest police station and file a complaint. They are also advised against stopping as there are fears they may be robbed.
Well, in a media conference on Friday morning, Rowley said his administration would not tolerate any disruption to law and order in the Twin Island Republic.
I want to make it abundantly clear to all citizens, regardless of where you live, and I'm speaking here for past governments, present and future governments, and that is that the Society of Trinidad and Tobago will not survive if persons take it upon themselves that they will choose who will subject themselves to the law and when they subject themselves to the law and who will be above the law. The conduct that was described yesterday and that had the effect of shutting down the national capital, terrorizing those who were caught in the absence of free movement, a condition that is guaranteed under the Constitution, and the trauma that the national community experienced yesterday will not and must not be encouraged or tolerated by the national community. Regardless of the circumstances that may prevail in communities, there is no excuse for the lawlessness that we saw yesterday.
Flanked by the high command of the police force, the defense force and the Coast Guard, Rowley said that giving in to such lawlessness would only result in anarchy. He has given the police the authority to move in on persons who have evicted people from their homes.
As Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, I want to give the national community, not just Nicky Crosby, but the national community the assurance that the government's support for law enforcement is unwavering and that the Commissioner of Police, the Chief of Defense Staff, and all national security agencies have the full support of the state to enforce the law in Trinidad and Tobago, regardless of who you are, where you are, and what your station is in this country.
In Antigua and Barbuda now, a bill to allow residents to have and use small quantities of marijuana is set to go before Parliament next month. The proposed legislation is expected to be read a first time on December 12th when the House convenes. Now, the marijuana bill focuses on decriminalizing up to 5 grams of marijuana and eliminating fines associated with with possession of the illegal drug. The aim is to reduce the high costs associated with pursuing convictions and prosecuting people caught with small amounts of the drug. The Gaston Brown-led administration is also hoping that the legislation will prevent young people in particular from getting criminal records that often make it difficult for them to secure employment or acquire travel visas. A high court in Guyana has ruled that the government violated the Constitution by instructing the Police Service Commission not to proceed with promoting several senior police officers. The commission was preparing to put together its list of promotions when it received a letter from Minister of State Joseph Harmon, who said it was sent at the request of the President. Court action was filed by former Attorney General Anil Landalal in the name of Rajendra Jaigobin. Now, the Chief Justice in her ruling made it clear that the Constitution contains no provisions for the Minister of State to direct the Police Service Commission on issuing promotions. The High Court also awarded 200,000 Guyana dollars in costs to Jaigobin. The respondent was Attorney General Basil Williams, who has to pay the costs awarded. We get more in this report from Travis Chase of HGP Nightly News.
An oral decision handed down by Chief Justice Roxanne George on Wednesday. The directive given by Minister of State Joseph Harmon to the Police Service Commission to halt promotions for members of the police force was deemed a violation of the Constitution. That letter to the Police Service Commission was dispatched on July 26. Less than 1 week after that letter was dispatched, Attorney-at-Law Anil Landalal had filed a court action challenging the directive issued in the name of President David Granger. It is the Chief Justice's ruling that the Commission, in the exercise of its functions, shall not be subject to the direction or control of any other person or authority. Nightly News had recently questioned the President about his reason for putting on hold the police promotions. This was his response.
Damage could be done if persons who are not fit and proper, make decisions which are injurious to public security. So we are taking a second look at it. We want the Constitutional Commission to function efficiently, but at the same time we want to make sure that the public can depend on the decisions which come out of those commissions being in the best interests of the nation.
It is the Attorney General's contention that now the life of the Police Service Commission has expired, the court should no longer determine the matter, since in his view, it is no longer a live matter, that it is of academic importance only, and that the courts should not act pointlessly. Nandalal's argument is that the letter of Minister Harmon violates the doctrine of separation of power and that the violation of the Constitution can never be classified as an academic question. A look at the list of consideration for police promotions, Top Cop Silal Prasad has asked the Police Service Commission to promote Assistant Police Commissioner Clifton Hicken to Deputy Police Commissioner. Acting Police Commissioner David Ramnarine was not even considered for promotion on that list.
Staying in Georgetown, a police officer once named as the best cop in the Guyana police force is one of the 2 lawmen charged with last month's murder of a businessman. Corporal Derwin Eastman appeared in court on Thursday along with Constable Jemison Williams. Both officers were remanded, although their attorneys had asked the court for special consideration for their clients. Siobhan Vickery of HGP Nightly News has the details of that story.
2015 Best Cop of the Guyana Police Force is now being seen as a Jekyll and Hyde character.
He made his first court appearance on the capital charge of murder over the killing of 64-year-old Godfrey Scipio, called Saga, a popular Durban Street businessman who was gunned down in what looked like a robbery in October. Jointly charged with the murder of the businessman was Police Constable Jermaine Williams, who is implicated into the plot to kill Scipio. Ranks of the police major crime unit were able to arrest the two cops a few days after the alleged triggerman Aubrey Bob was charged for the indictable offense. The detective corporal and police constable were not required to plead to the indictable charge, which was read to them by Magistrate Judy Latchman. Attorney at law Nigel Hughes, in association with UC Anderson, represented Eastman, while Williams was represented by Attorney Dexter Todd. The attorneys begged Magistrate Latchman to have the officers placed in special confinement, stating that because the two accused men investigated cases which involved inmates currently on remand, confinement among those inmates would bring harm to them. The magistrates nevertheless remanded the duo until December 5 and transferred the matter to be heard by Chief Magistrate Anne McLennan.
You're watching Caribbean Newsline. Coming up, Grenada's Deputy Prime Minister formally steps down from elective politics. We'll have that story and more after the break. Stay with us.
Welcome to the gem of the Caribbean, Antigua and Barbuda.
A warm welcome awaits you at our state-of-the-art VC Bird International Airport.
I must say that Antigua is in wonderful shape. 5 minutes off the boat and we're already in paradise.
Antigua was not that damaged by the storm as much as Barbuda was. The hotels are still open, the beaches are still clean, and the people are still friendly.
With Antigua, it's the people that really await you.
Hurricane Irma may have hit a little bit, but you can't even tell that it was ever here. The beach is wonderful. I'm having a great time.
Everything is just as we remember. No storm damage.
We're here and we're open.
And we're better than ever.
I do a lot of destination weddings, and I see weddings that could happen here, and they would be in love with it.
I can't say enough about how in love with Antigua I am.
It is one nation, two islands, and I'm loving it.
Did you know that a strategy has been developed to help improve the region's education and human resources?
You didn't? Well, the HID strategy, as it is called, will guide CARICOM in how it delivers quality education and training to the people of the region.
The strategy has been crafted by a group of experts called the HRD Commission.
Consultations have been done across the region to get your input.
Do you know that none of us will be left behind?
The HRD strategy is important to all of us, students, parents, and employers. It will prepare the region, especially the youth, for the 21st century economy and society.
The HRD strategy, unlocking Caribbean human potential.
Grenada's Deputy Prime Minister Elvin Nimrod has formally stepped down from elective politics, but will complete his current term as a minister and member of parliament for Carriacou and Petite Martinique. At a meeting in Hillsborough, Carriacou on Thursday night, Nimrod passed the baton to young female lawyer Kintra Mathurin-Stewart, who is set to be the ruling party's candidate in general elections expected anytime now. Now, in accepting her nomination for the candidacy for the constituency, the 34-year-old Mathurin-Stewart applauded the stewardship of her predecessor and outlined her vision for what she hopes will be her first term in office.
My friends, it would be a great privilege and an honor for me to use my professional abilities to continue to advocate and defend the interests of the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, both in Parliament and in Cabinet. I would do so not only because I'm a lawyer, but because it would be my duty and obligation to you, the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique.
Just 5 days after being elected chairman of the One Bermuda Alliance, Nick Kempy has shocked the opposition party by resigning from the post. The former senator dropped the bombshell on Thursday night, saying his position has become untenable because of a conflict in vision with the new party leader, Gian Athadeen. Both won their positions in internal party elections last Saturday, and Athadeen was sworn in on Tuesday. Kemp has easily defeated challenger Simone Barton, 177 to 65 votes. He said he had contested the position because he believed in the party he ran for twice in general elections. But Kemp said after having conversation with Athadeen, it became clear his vision for the future of the party relative to its rebuilding was diametrically opposed to that of its leader. He said while his mandate was to bring about change, recent events demonstrated to him that the party's executive would not be able to function with the fundamental political and policy discord. Confirming Kemp's resignation, the OBA said that it is a diverse party, which means there are sometimes differences of opinions. It said it was sorry Kemp had decided to step aside, but thanked him for his service, dedication and contributions, and left the door open for him to serve in the party in the future. In the interim, Senator Nandi Outerbridge will serve as OBA chairperson. A private sector group in Dominica is calling on government to revisit working hours in the country. President of the Dominica Employers Federation, that's Akil Joseph, expressed disappointment that 2 years after presenting the government with draft legislation regarding flexible working hours, nothing has been done. He explained that the draft bill sought to put Dominica on 24/7, 365-day business where establishments could open and close based on demand for their products. Joseph said the bill would have replaced several outdated labor laws and practices and insisted that a review of the legislation is needed to build the confidence required to attract domestic and foreign investments. He insisted that the Employers Federation would not rest when it came to restructuring the environment in which they do business. A United Nations report says the Caribbean and Latin America is the most violent region in the world for women. The UN Women and the UN Development Programme found assaults on women persisted in the region despite severe laws aimed at curbing the phenomenon. The rate of sexual violence against women outside of relationships is the highest in the world in the region and the second highest for those who are in or were in a relationship. The report notes that 3 out of the 10 countries with the highest rates of rape of women and girls were in the Caribbean. It also noted that while 24 of the 33 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean have laws against domestic violence, only 9 have passed legislation that tackles a range of forms of other violence against women in public or private. The UN agencies recommend strengthening institutions and policies in the region and allocated resources to empower women. And ahead in Newsline Sport, Cricket West Indies Chief Medical Officer calls it quits. We'll tell you why after the break.
In a place where legends start, the beach is just the beginning. So live a little for the exhilaration and the colour of every moment, where time is and life is a spirited event. Immerse yourself in the culture, the music, the people, the island. Love Antigua and Barbuda. Embrace an experience that leaves you breathless, from cricket to sailing week to carnival and more. Antigua and Barbuda, the beach is just the beginning.
Did you know that a strategy has been developed to help improve the region's education and human resources?
You didn't? Well, the HID strategy, as it is called, will guide CARICOM in how it delivers quality education and training to the people of the region.
The strategy has been crafted by a group of experts called the HRD Commission.
Consultations have been done across the region to get your input.
Do you know that none of us will be left behind?
The HRD strategy is important to all of us, students, parents, and employers. It will prepare the region, especially the youth, for the 21st century economy, and society.
The HRD strategy, unlocking Caribbean human potential.
Dr. Akshay Manson has quit as Cricket West Indies Chief Medical Officer, citing an untenable relationship between the medical panel and the board. The Jamaica Observer newspaper reported Friday that while a frayed relationship had existed for a while, the recent last-minute scrapping of a conference for West Indies cricket medical personnel scheduled for Trinidad and Tobago was the tipping point for Dr. Mansing. The respected orthopedic surgeon told the newspaper that instructions were being put in the way of the medical panel's functioning, so he felt the prudent thing to do was to resign. Now, quoting sources knowledgeable of the ongoing issues, the Observer said there was often tension between the CWI board and the medical panel, and that decisions in the past had been reached without adequate input from the medical experts. Now, while the situation had improved, issues of non-medical people making statements had continued to occur. Dr. Mansing, whose involvement with the CWI medical panel spanned nearly 15 years, said the situation reflected a need for more direct engagement with medical personnel. Still in cricket now, West Indies captain Jason Holder believes the three-day tour match against New Zealand A, which starts on Saturday in Lincoln, that's on Friday evening Eastern Caribbean time, will be enough to complement his side's preparation for the upcoming Test series. The fixture at the Bert Sutcliffe Oval is the only tour match before the Caribbean side clashes with the Black Caps in 2 tests at the Basin Reserve in Wellington from December 1st to 5th and at Seddon Park in Hamilton from December 9th to the 13th.
Yeah, as I said, we've been on the road for a little while. You know, we just came from Zimbabwe and then we didn't go home, so we went straight to Australia, just kept our cricket going and keep topping up, you know. So I think we're in good stead. We had a 2-day game in Australia as well, and we're coming here now having a 3-day game before the first Test match. So based on the amount of cricket we've played in the last few months, I think we're ready to go.
Now, as you know, the match is currently underway in New Zealand, but Holder confirmed that every member of the 15-man squad was fit and available for selection for the tour game and would take part in some capacity. West Indies are coming off a 1-0 victory over Zimbabwe in a 2-test series in Bulawayo earlier this month, and Holder said the New Zealand tour would be an opportunity to continue that progression.
Well, I think over the last few months the guys have really put their names out there. Guys like Craig Brathwaite has done well for us, you know, over a number of years. Shea Hope just coming to the forefront of what his true potential, to be honest. Then we've got guys like Ross and Chase who will probably lead our batting. Then we've got inexperienced in our bowling, but still, you know, 1 or 2 experienced heads in like Kemar Roach and Shannon Gabriel. So I think it's a good mixture that we have. You know, again, the beauty about our side is that we've been together now for the last year and a half, and I think we've been going quite well. So I expect really good things from us, you know, based on what we've been doing over the last year, and hopefully we can continue, you know, going on.
Switching sports now, Jamaica Reggae Boys have regained the top spot in the Caribbean Football Union rankings, taking over from French Caribbean neighbours Haiti. The Jamaicans climbed 5 spots to 54th in the overall FIFA rankings, while Haiti fell 1 place to 57th. Both countries are 2 of 4 CFU nations inside the FIFA Top 100, with Curacao ranked 84th and Trinidad and Tobago 89th. Curacao jumped 5 places overall to overtake TNT and assume 3rd place in the CFU on the heels of their 2-1 win over Qatar at the Jassim bin Hamad Stadium in Doha earlier this month. TNT, however, fell 6 places and are now 4th in the CFU rankings. The Kenwin Jones side produced 2 lackluster performances at home earlier this month, in earning a 2-all draw against Grenada and a 1-all stalemate against Guyana. Barbados was one of the biggest movers, jumping 6 spots to 154th. And finally, Jamaican go-kart racers are hoping to upset their regional and international counterparts when they host an international karting meet this weekend. Keon Rayner of TVJ Sports tells us more.
It's the first time in 8 years that the Jamaica Karting Association will be staging an international meet, and 10 overseas karters will match their skills against Jamaica's best in 4 classes in the event dubbed Guyana Invasion Double Trouble. The senior Rotax class will see Matthew Pang, the top-ranked Canadian, facing the likes of former champion Colin Daly Jr., current Jamaican champion Jonathan Laws, and Joshua Surgani. Alex Powell will match skills against Senna Somerville.
We do apologize for that video. That's the sports. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
St. Thomas our place, this everything start, even with Taurus Riley, and because me usually been around Taurus Riley and watch your works, but now I just my time for go out there and make the people them see what I go on. I get me and say so. No, me just do the work. Big up the whole Black Style, sing it. Big up Fly the Wise production, the whole team, the whole family.
What kind of advice has Taurus given to you about the industry?
All right, when he teach me.
Again, the major developments of this day. Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister warns lawlessness won't be tolerated after violent protests on a major highway. And in sport, Dr. Akshay Mansingh quits as Cricket West Indies Chief Medical Officer, citing an untenable relationship between the medical panel and the board. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news on sports round the clock, log on to CanadaNews.com. We'll be back here again on Monday. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good night.